We cannot wait to see this man make his return at UFC 265 this weekend in a pivotal fight in the welterweight division against Vicente Luque. The Maverick has touched down back at Submission Radio. Michael Chiesa, welcome back to the show, man.
It's good to be on. It's good to be talking to you guys again. How are things down under? Good?
Dude, things are good here. We can't complain, man. The pleasure is all ours. Thanks for jumping on. And for those who may not have seen it, there's a very powerful image of Dana Chiesa on your IG, warning people not to pirate the pay-per-view. We know that you have you heard back from Dana about the post? The combination is pretty majestic. I like that you say there's a plan. We'll fuck you guys up, basically.
Dana gets a laugh out of when I troll him. I've trolled him a few times, and he usually gets a pretty good laugh out of it. So I had to slide that one. I did it on accident, actually. I was anytime I'm at the desk, I do like a little face swap thing at my little teleprompter with like my Snapchat filters, and I did it to Michael Chandler, and then I put it down on my face. I was like, oh shit, I got to use this. So I screenshotted it and used it.
I'll tell you what, if you ever decide to lose the beard and the hair, I think you're in good hands, man. You're looking pretty good. I was going to quickly ask, though, dude, some breaking news last week, which is Amanda Nunes out of the event. She's no longer going to be at UFC 265, unfortunately, due to COVID. I'm wondering, have you heard from the UFC yet? Are you possibly going to be the new co-main for this card? What's the latest?
I haven't heard anything. I'm just kind of sitting, waiting in the wings, wondering like what their plan is. It doesn't really change too much for me. It'd be cool to have my face on the poster. That's about it. But, still a 3-round fight. So whether I'm opening the main card or I'm co-main, whatever it may be, it's not going to change too much for me. So, but it's so unfortunate for Julie. It's been a tough camp for us as a team. Julie lives in Chicago. I still live in Spokane. Rick, our head coach, he lives in Spokane. So when Julie goes into camps, he usually spends time in Chicago. And with her, the magnitude of this fight, he's been out there away from his family for so long. And, I came down to Las Vegas where I'm still currently at now. I leave for fight week tomorrow. So, so I've been spending my time out here training. We've all been making sacrifices as a team. Particularly, mainly to get Julie to this fight. She needs Rick's attention. And for me, like, this is a tough fight. We've known about Luque for a long time. We've done the breakdown. We've done everything we need to do on our end. And then, I'm down here with John Wood training at Syndicate and stuff like that. So we all made a lot of sacrifices to be at our best for this card coming up this Saturday. And it's just unfortunate that things turned out this way. But, Julie and Amanda, they're destined to fight each other. So they'll fight at a later date. And, I just got to stay focused on my fight. And, I'm very well prepared for this opportunity.
Yeah, 100%. And it's a good way to sort of, put in perspective about how it's not just affecting Juliana. It's the whole team, man. You sort of summarize it about how sometimes it is a team sport. But you mentioned Vicente Luque, and we heard you on the Michael Bisping podcast. Great podcast, by the way. You're talking about how he's hands down the most dangerous guy that you've ever been matched up with. What is the feeling like heading into a fight where you know that he is the most dangerous opponent you've ever faced, man?
As crazy as this sounds, I like that type of threat because it's there's been other fights like no disrespect to Diego Sanchez, but there's a big difference between being in a training camp for Diego Sanchez and being in a training camp for Vicente Luque. Like the imminent threat of danger, it heightens your senses. You know what I mean? So it's not like I treat every opponent like they have the ability to finish me and seriously hurt me and do damage. But this isn't a fight where I'm not having to convince myself that the threat of danger is there. It's there, so it keeps me honest. It keeps me on my toes. My senses are much more heightened, especially with sparring and stuff like that. So, this is the fight I need to get to the next level. So, I've addressed the things he does very well. And I think the one thing that needed to be addressed is not only is he the most dangerous guy I've fought yet, but I also think from a physical standpoint, he could be the biggest and strongest. So I've spent a lot of time training, like almost all my training partners for this camp, especially sparring, have been middleweights. So I've been going with a ton of middleweights. And so I'll be really prepared for that physical aspect of the fight that he's going to bring to the octagon. And, from the technical standpoint, the skills that he has, the things that he does well, we've addressed those as well. So I'm very well prepared for this fight.
I know you just mentioned the physical stuff. I'm curious, man. You call him the most dangerous, right? There's a skill set that comes in there, but also there's the mindset that he brings in there. Like, he's not afraid of a war. And you were mentioning that if you win it, it's gonna be a firefight. You're gonna be going through the fire to get this W. I'm wondering, what kind of training and sparring do you have to do to prepare for a fight like that? Like, are you getting guys in and you're like, all right, we need guys that are comfortable being in the pocket, comfortable being in the firefight, and kind of can replicate the experience of fighting a Vicente? Or is it getting guys? Yeah.
I mean, dude, there's killers down here in Las Vegas. A lot of guys, everybody down here is really hungry. Being at Syndicate right now, the room is so tough. All the guys I'm training with are either headed into fights for Dana White Contender Series or things of that sort. So it's a lot of high level guys. And when you kind of have a mark on your head, when you're in the UFC and you got a number next to your name, like, guys want to test yourself. So a lot of the guys that I'm sparring with, they want to test themselves against me, and that's good. You know what I mean? So I got a lot of guys willing to get in the pocket, willing to trade, and just be physical. So it's good that, I've shown, I think, through my time at welterweight in these last 4 fights that I'm not. I think some guys have made the mistake, like, oh, this is just a lightweight coming up. Like, no, I'm a true welterweight, and I think I showed that in my last fight. So we've addressed the things that he does well, and I'm sure he has as well. I mean, I think we're both going to be very well prepared going into this fight, and may the best man win. I'm really excited for the opportunity. I think Vicente, phenomenal competitor. I've always enjoyed watching this fight. His knockout over Hector Urbina, and I said this way before I ever even when I was still at lightweight. His knockout over Hector Urbina was one of my favorite knockouts in the UFC. When he pinned him on the fence and he's just banging the body, and he sets up this lethal combo with like a left hook, Michigacha, leads into the overhand right and sleeps the guy. I'm a huge fan of his work, so it's cool to get out there and compete against the guy that you're a fan of. May the best man win. I think that he's just a good all around dude. He's the type of guy I want to compete against, and we'll shake hands before. It'll all be good before and after, but in that 15 minutes or less, it's going to be a dogfight.
Dude, and you're on a great streak at the moment, man, and beating a guy who just recently, beat Tyron Woodley in, pretty spectacular fashion. What do you think a win here nets you, man?
I think whoever wins this fight moves on to get into, I think whoever wins this fight should go on to fight for the title. They booked Colby and Usman, and I don't know, if Colby gets past Usman, I wouldn't be surprised if they do a trilogy. I know that how much they loved that first fight. But I just think that if Usman gets past Colby, it's got to be me. It's got to be whoever wins this fight that goes on next. Leon, Leon's on. I think Leon's the most deserving of the title fight. I think it should be him fighting Kamaru in Madison Square Garden. But it's going to be Colby. So, I don't know if they're going to do Burns and Leon. I don't know what's going to happen there. All I know is I'm not focused on what's coming thereafter. This is the fight where I have to just don't look ahead. Stay focused on what I have to get into on this Saturday, and that's a very tough fight against Vicente Luque. If I start thinking about the title fight and who deserves what, I think that's where something gets slipped through the cracks. So I think that it's just best for me to just stay focused on Vicente, and whatever happens thereafter. Don't focus on things that are out of my hands that I can't control. So just focus on the fight. That's what I need to keep my focus on. So we'll see what happens. Whoever wins, may the best man win. We'll see what happens after the fight.
Okay, not to detour too much, but I just wanted to get your reaction with Covington Usman being booked, because I know for a long time you've been saying, you felt like maybe a guy like Leon or even yourself should be getting that title shot. Now that it's official, what sort of went through your head when you saw it?
It didn't surprise me. We all kind of saw it coming, so that's the business, man. And I think it's going to be a phenomenal fight. I look forward to watching those guys get in there and scrap again. So I'm a fan of good fights. So we'll see what happens. I think, if I know you guys are going to ask my prediction next, so I'm just going to give it to you now.
Nice. Mr. Chiesa. You got your analyst hat on. How could we resist?
Dana Chiesa, break it down for us.
It's just hard for me. Both guys have made changes since their first fight. Kamaru has been training with Trevor Whitman, and we've seen the results, devastating knockout finishes of Jorge Masvidal and Gilbert Burns. I think we're seeing a much more refined Kamaru Usman, and we haven't seen a ton from Colby. We saw the Woodley fight. He performed very well. But I with the changes and the evolution that we've seen from Kamaru Usman, it's hard for me to pick against him. So I have Kamaru winning that fight.
Going back to Vicente, you mentioned how he's the most dangerous fight, one of the toughest opponents that you ever had. When you look at him, do you think he's a harder fight than some of the guys at the very top of the division? Guys like Leon, guys like Burns?
They're all tough. I mean, it's you get to the top 5 of the division, and there's not an easy fight in sight. And it's one of those things where you could do these fights 10 times over, and I don't think the same guy wins every time. It's a matter of inches when you're in there with the guys at this level, so I think Vicente is definitely one of the toughest guys, but everybody possesses a different set of skills that makes them unique in their own way. So it's the matchups. The matchups are what make the harder fights. There's going to be matchups for certain guys that are going to be easier than others. But nonetheless, I mean, he's as good as one could possibly be at welterweight. I mean, the only guys he's come up short against is Wonderboy Thompson and Leon Edwards, and those are 2 of the best guys in the weight class. So he's tough. He's tough. He's as tough as they come, man. He's where he's at for a reason. Him and I are kind of jockeying back and forth for that 5 spot. He's a tough guy.
Do you think that if you're able to beat him decisively, that really sends a statement? Because you mentioned even the Wonderboy fight, for example, great fight, and Wonderboy was able to outstrike him, but you haven't really seen many people go out there and really dominate a guy like Vicente Luque. Do you feel like if you go out there and you're able to do that, that sends a statement to the rest of the division?
I think a win just sends a statement. You know what I mean? Winning is everything. You can't have the expectation. There are some guys that always have the expectation to go out and dominate, and that's great. But for me, it's like, I know I respect the skills, and it's just hard to tell until the fight starts and things just kind of start unraveling. That's the story of the fight will tell itself as it transpires. So, we'll see what happens. But I think whoever wins this fight is I think they're going to be the front runner for whoever's next for whoever wins. UFC 268, correct?
Mm-hmm.
UFC 268. Got my numbers right.
Nice. Speaking of numbers and being number 1 with the Olympic Games currently in play and so many ball sports happening, the only ball sport you need to be worried about is trimming your balls and shaving those bastards with the Lawnmower 4.0. The future is here. It's not Jeff Bezos flying into space. It is the Lawnmower 4.0, the best grooming tool on the market. Give your balls a gold medal performance with this baby, and the Lawnmower 4.0 jumps straight onto the podium with its ceramic blade with the skin-safe technology so it doesn't cut your balls. The LED light that you're accustomed to from the Lawnmower 3.0, now you can turn it off whenever you want to. Did we mention it's waterproof? Michael Phelps is drooling at the idea. Save some money. Use the 20% off discount code submission when you're buying anything on the website. A whole bunch of other great products, ball toners, the crop duster. You've got things for your feet to stop them from smelling. Basically, Manscaped has you covered for everything to be the best version of yourself and give a gold medal performance. Use the code submission, 20% off. Isn't that right, Dennis?
That's right, Cass. And speaking of the Olympics, why are they the only ones that get to win gold over the Olympics, summer and winter, wherever you are around the world? Because with MyBookie, you guys can get rich with some gold too. Get that currency up with MyBookie, because if you sign up with promo code submission now, you can take advantage of up to a $1,000 bonus on your first deposit. That's promo code submission. Get yourself a free cash deposit. Top it up with free bets and boosted odds and all sorts of cool things down at the site. They're number 1 for prop bets, and there are so many things to bet on right now. You've got UFC 265 around the corner. So many crazy sports happening right now in the Olympics. You don't have an excuse not to go on MyBookie. Use that promo code submission. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, Cass, with MyBookie.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Speaking of UFC 265, where are you watching the fights? Don't be a dirty pirate. Don't make Dana Chiesa come after you for illegal Russian streams. Maybe you want to go to the pub with some buddies. Maybe grab some wings. Maybe grab a few pints. Watch it with your friends. Maybe run into your boys at Submission Radio. I don't know. It sounds like a good idea to me. the best way to find a pub near you that is definitely showing the fight. You don't want to go to a pub and it's not actually showing it. The best way to find a pub that's actually showing the fights is to use MatchPint. MatchPint lists all the pubs and bars near you that are showing the sport. It doesn't have to be MMA, but we're using MMA as an example because it's an MMA show. All you need to do is visit the website or download the app. Select the matchup you're after, and you'll see a list of your closest venues. MatchPint also shows which pubs have the fight on a big screen, or if the venue has any special offers on at the moment. You can use the link in the description to see all the venues near you showing UFC 265, thanks to MatchPint. In fact, I'll give you a quick demonstration on my phone, and this is live and in real time. You've got the app right in front of you. You've got the Olympics. You've got a whole bunch of things. It doesn't have to be MMA, like I said. UFC 265 Lewis versus Gane. There you go. You click on that. Now it's going to show you all the pubs near you. There we go. Bang. This is near me. Hampton Park Tavern, Sporting Globe Doncaster, the Amstel Club. I don't want to watch any of those. I want to be maybe closer to the city where Dennis lives. Here we go. The Swan Hotel, the old Swanee in Church Street, Richmond. Cool. We click on that. You see it's got a rating of 3.8, so you can rate it yourself. The highlights are exceptional food, huge screen, great service. All of that sounds great. You got the hours open until 3, which is good, so you can get shit-faced afterwards and do some day drinking. And then you got the features, which is 10 screens, which is great. Commentary, because you don't want to be watching the fights with, zero volume, as some venues do. Serves food, garden, pet-friendly. Great. Then you can check out the offers. $10 pints. What's not to love? Pretty soon, the app is going to be your best mate when it comes to sports, thanks to MatchPint. Check it out. Absolutely love this app already. But Mike, going back to you, I mean, we saw you were speaking to another Mike Heck over at MMA Fighting, and you kind of made the comparison to yourself and Michael Bisping, sort of thinking like, am I Michael Bisping? Am I going to be waiting, almost 10 years in a storied career before I finally get that title? I wonder, what was it like for you to have that, crazy realization that you have been with the company for, I think, 9 years, going on 10 since 2012. It's a long time to be with the company, man.
It's crazy, man, and it's. I think that's what's made me feel like, it's been 9 years, and I've had a lot of ups, I've had a lot of downs. But I think that it's like ever since I went up to welterweight, it's like a new chapter. This just great new chapter that I've been on. So while I've been here for 9 years, I feel like this recent run I've been on has been the most relevant. And it's just crazy to think it's been almost 10 years because it doesn't feel like it. You know what I mean? I have a lot of gratitude for where I'm at and how long I've been here. Not a lot of guys can say they've been in the UFC competing against the best guys for almost a decade, and I've had a few fights that were favorable matchups, but if you look, I've fought the Masvidals, the Lozons, the Anthony Pettis, Carlos Condit. I've been in there with some great fighters, and it's great. It's humbling, and it's and I have a lot of gratitude for how long I've been here. But I know that it hasn't been a gift. It's been a byproduct of a lot of hard work. I pride myself in being a guy that I train very hard for these fights. I don't leave any stone unturned. And there's a reason why I've been here for as long as I have, and that's because I've been putting the work in. I'm very dedicated to my craft, and it's crazy to think it's been that long. It's like I'm becoming the veteran. And it's weird kind of saying that, but got a lot of good fights left ahead of me still.
Yeah, man. And I feel like it's also, obviously the fighting is really impressive, but I just feel like, you're a good guy and you have a good reputation within the company. Your commentary work, the fact that, people like having you around and you're able to do all this stuff. And I feel like almost when new guys come into the company, they look towards you like, hey, there's my Chiesa at the gym. I feel like you're a friendly face that everyone can come up to. We've seen, for example, during fight weeks and stuff, when you're the international fighter, a lot of the fighters like to come up to you, say hi, and you're so gracious to the fans as well. So I really think that does a lot of good as well, along with the win streak and the great performances that you've had, for people to be like, hey, like, we love having this guy around. Let's make sure this guy's around as much as possible. But I'm wondering, when you think back to 2012, when you won that contract, and you think to now, is this kind of like, is there a bit of a silver lining to you not getting that title shot yet, and maybe getting it around now and soon after this win, after this Vicente Luque? Do you think back to 2012 and now, and the differences that you've made, but professionally, skill-wise, yourself as a person, to what it would be like getting a title shot now compared to back then?
Yeah, I think it's taken a definitely like a maturation process. I think that I wasn't mature enough. If I had gotten, I think that the closest I'd been to the title, from a competitive standpoint, it was like the Kevin Lee fight. I think we saw what happened. Kevin, he got his hand raised that night, and he went on to fight Tony for the interim title. I don't think I was mature enough at that point to handle what comes with being a champion. And I can say that. I have no problem saying that. I'm a very humble guy. I know where I'm at now, and I can look back at where I was then, and I don't think I would have been ready for the next level. And I'm ready now. It just took me maturing, kind of figuring out who I am as a person, who I am as a man. I had a little streak where I was kind of a knucklehead, thought that it was like, it's time for me to start talking trash and kind of doing things like that are really out of my character. And for me to get to where I feel I'm destined for, which is a title fight, I just need to be true to who I am as a man. I'm a humble guy. I work hard, and there's not a lot of bad things I could say about any of my opponents. So when I kind of was on that little window of like trying to hype fights and talk a little trash, that's just not true to who I am. To me, it was immature, and for some guys, that's who they are. That's true to who they are, and that's fine. I'm not saying anything bad about that. That's just, some people are have a little more, comes more natural for them to do that. For me, it's very unnatural. It's better for me to be true to myself, be humble, and I think that it's been the maturity process that has also that's gotten me to this point, and on top of the fact, getting to the right weight class.
What was the actual turning point, like that made you realize this, the maturation process?
After I lost to Pettis. I'll never forget this, man. I got home. I did my camp in Las Vegas. I got home, and John Wood called me. He just did check on me, make sure I was okay. And he's like, I got to tell you something, Mike. Like, can I give you my 2 cents? I'm like, yeah, let's hear it. And he goes, dude, you need to go back to who you were when I met you. When I met John Wood in 2013, I was fresh off The Ultimate Fighter, still that blue collar, hardworking, humble kid. In the work, I always worked hard. I never cut corners, but I lost, I brushed that humble side of me and just kind of tried to turn into this character to appeal to people, to kind of fit the norm of what MMA is now. People love hype. People love the trash talk, and that's all fine and dandy, but it's just not true to who I am. And he was just like, dude, go back to who you were when I met you. Be that humble, hardworking kid. That's what's going to win you fights. You stepping out of character, you're putting too much pressure on yourself. I put enough pressure on myself as it is. And when I'm not being true to who I am as a person, who I am as a man, it puts even more tremendous amounts of pressure on myself, because I'm saying these things that really I don't really mean. And it puts a lot of pressure on you. So I think that phone call from John Wood, like, dude, go be who you were when I met you. Be true to who you are. This isn't who you are. You're not a trash talker. You're not a guy that's arrogant. You're not super brash. You're a humble, hardworking guy. Be true to who you are. And I think that's also what kind of led to me getting more of these opportunities, like, getting behind the desk, being more friendly and welcomed amongst my peers and the fans. Be true to who I am. And that's been a big part of this resurgence, I guess you could say.
All right, Michael. Well, last question, because I know you got to get going. Bit of a cliche, but how do you see it going down, man? How do you see the victory coming at UFC 265 this weekend? And then also, I know you mentioned you're not looking past it, but is it exciting to know that if the win does come, you have such exciting options, maybe like the title shot, or if that doesn't come together, even a fight with someone like Leon Edwards, which would be a very exciting fight as well?
Yeah, great fights on the horizon, man. Great fights on the horizon. And I'm always, my aspirations in the sport and getting to the UFC has always been to fight the best guys, test myself. I want to test myself. I want to be able to, when my time in the sunlight comes to an end, I want to be able to say I competed against some of the best guys in the world, win or lose. And, it's great to be in this position. So, I can't predict I can't predict how the fight goes. I just know that I'm very well prepared to fight whatever fight happens, and just put my best foot forward. And I'm prepared. If I got to get in the trenches and get in the fire, like I always say, if I got to walk through the fire to beat this guy, so be it. If I have a dominant performance, I'm able to do what I did in my last fight, whatever. It's hard to make a prediction, but I just know that I'm very well prepared for this fight, and I'm very well prepared for whatever comes thereafter.
Well, guys, make sure to follow Mike at MikeMav22 on IG and Twitter. And make sure you don't pirate UFC 265 or Dana Chiesa will use this particular set of skills to find you. Thank you so much, Michael.
Buy the pay-per-view. UFC 265 live in Houston. Let's go.
Thanks, Mike. Good luck, man. Great talking to you.
Peace out, guys.
Bye.
See ya.